हाय एवरीवन, वेलकम टू इन्फिनिटेसिमल। माय नेम इज़ राजन। आज मैं बहुत खुश हूँ क्योंकि हमारे साथ हैं SBI PO 2023 बैच के वन ऑफ द ब्राइटेस्ट स्टूडेंट यू कैन से मोहित कुमार, जिन्होंने SBI PO 2023 का एग्ज़ाम क्लियर किया है। बीइंग अ बिगिनर, उन्होंने किस तरह से प्रिपरेशन को अपना आगे बढ़ाया एंड 1 ईयर के अंदर जो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट प्रेस्टिजियस एग्जाम है SBI, उसको क्लियर किया है। ये पूरी जर्नी आज इस वीडियो में शेयर करेंगे। ये वीडियो उन सारे बच्चों के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट होगा जो स्टार्ट तो करते हैं बट कुछ गलत गाइडेंस की वजह से या फिर अगर सही रास्ता नहीं पकड़ते हैं तो 1 साल की जगह उनको 2-3 साल लग जाता है एंड स्टिल दे आर नॉट एबल टू क्लियर। सो दिस विल बी अ गुड नॉलेजेबल सेशन होगा जिसमें आपको ये पता चलेगा कि प्रिपरेशन सही डायरेक्शन में कैसे करें, कौन से सोर्सेज फॉलो करने हैं और राइट स्ट्रैटेजी आपकी क्या होनी चाहिए। तो प्रिपरेशन के बारे में बात करेंगे। सबसे पहले तो मैं मोहित को कांग्रेचुलेशन कहना चाहूँगा कि आपका SBI PO में सिलेक्शन हुआ। कैसा फील कर रहे हैं मोहित, एक बार ये बताइए, और फैमिली का क्या रिएक्शन है, और ये शायद आपकी सेकंड जॉब है, तो ओवरऑल कैसा फीलिंग है एक बार जरूर बताइए हमें।
Yes, the feeling has been great. When I saw my result, I got pretty excited. But after that, things have been very calm. I also cleared RRB club this year from Arunachal Pradesh. So yeah, I told my parents, and the parents are also they have very cool and calm reaction. I'm so excited, but yes, that's how it has been for us.
या ऑलराइट। सो प्रिपरेशन के बारे में तो हम लोग बात करेंगे, एक बार मोहित का बैकग्राउंड थोड़ा सा जान लेते हैं।
Okay, so my name is Mohit Kumar, and I come from the state of Jharkhand, and I had completed my graduation from Sidhu Kanu Mumbai University in 2021. My stream is physics, and from 2023, I actually began very serious preparation. I started my serious preparation in January of 2023 when I purchased the course. Before that, it was very erratic. Before that, I had given the exams of IBPS as well as SBI, but it was very erratic. I had not planned anything. I just went and get the exam.
All right.
But yes.
All right. So, are you the first one in your family who is a banker, or there is some family connection also with respect to banking?
No, there is no one from my family who is a banker. And being a eldest son myself, so I'm the first one from my family to come into this banking background.
Okay. What was your motivation कि बैंकिंग फील्ड में ही जाना है, ये आपको किसने गाइड किया, स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट क्या था?
The primary motivation to join banking field was looking at the scope of RBI and mostly the dynamic environment that banking provides. And secondly, I know there are only two options if you want to choose the SSC or the banking. So I did not like the pattern of SSC because they ask a lot of repetitive questions. But in case of banking, they always tend to ask very dynamic questions. You know the concept, but the questions will be very different. You have to be out of the box. So that is why I came specifically to banking.
गर्वित से हमने कल बात किया था, तो he told that he got some guidance from his seniors. So was there any such sources?
Yes. I was roaming on Telegram, so there's one person called Jaidev Nakrat. So he actually told me to purchase your course.
Okay.
So yes, so I decided because then I saw a few videos of yours on YouTube, and only then I decided to purchase your course once your SBI PO 2023 batch started. So I may be the first one or maybe the second one to purchase the course.
Yeah, I kind of recall that you were the first one, I guess. इनिशियल 4 मंथ्स में ना क्या होता है कि हम जब स्टार्ट करते हैं तो वी आर नॉट दैट कॉन्फिडेंट, पता नहीं चलता रहता है कि सही कर रहे हैं या नहीं कर रहे हैं। तो ये स्टार्टिंग के 4 महीने के बारे में एक बार बताइए हमें कि कैसा आपने किया था।
Okay, so I purchased your course on 1st of January, and my plan was to first go through your course, whatever question that you were solving in the sessions. I used to prepare my own notes after that, and sidewise I used to also do the miscellaneous reasoning section. I tried to finish the miscellaneous reasoning section and get into practice itself right from the day one. And also if I could cover a different type of puzzles, because you covered puzzles right maybe in Feb, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I had started solving puzzles before that because you used to also give a lot of puzzles in the Facebook group that you created for the paid batches.
Okay.
So I began from that and I started solving questions. And beside that, you had all these sessions, the mathematics sessions. So I used to make notes, revise them, and solve questions related to it because a lot of free questions are available on practice mock free pages. So I used to solve those questions. And this is how maybe till March or maybe till April till your course finished. By the time then the only focus was to prepare notes, revise them, and practice as much as questions that you gave in your paid group and as well as the free quizzes.
चलिए, आपने कोर्स ले लिया था, लेकिन बहुत सारे ऐसे बच्चे होंगे जो कोर्स नहीं लेते हैं। जैसे आपने बोला कि इरेटिक हमने जो कुछ पहले आपने प्रिपरेशन किया था, तो उस टाइम का फेज क्या होता है, उसके बारे में थोड़ा बताइए कि हाउ यू ओवरकम कि हाँ मुझे इस डायरेक्शन में जाना है और ऐसे करके प्रिपेयर करना है।
Yes, the thing is, once if you're not taken a particular course, and so you would be in a very because not all the content is available on the internet. It might be available, but you'll have to search here and there. But once you get the a outline, a very detailed kind of structure, you don't have to roam anywhere around. You don't have to like use your manpower or your resources or your energy in searching what you want to get. So that was the first thing that I noticed, because in solving quizzes, the free quizzes that Practice More gives or any other platform gives, what happens is that you'll be noticing that you're lacking somewhere in the concepts, because you'll find new questions that you would not have seen the educators on the YouTube teaching it for free. So then you would be in a position how to solve this question. So that is the dilemma one faces if one begins no, without paid course.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I'll be asking some personal question. Like, did you follow any like daily schedule or certain number of hours of study, like per day?
Yes, so I used to, my daily program used to begin on at around 8.
Mhm.
First thing I used to pick is Business Standard newspaper, because that is how I started to build my day, read newspaper just to, get into rhythm.
Mhm.
And then revise your previous sessions, make notes, and then jump to this puzzle section. So I used to solve a lot of puzzles I've solved, because in the beginning I used to make a lot of silly mistakes in misreading conditions and all that. So then I decided that I'll solve a lot of puzzles, irrespective of the outcomes. So then the puzzle sections, and in the latest stages, I used to simply do the speed mathematics, which
Okay.
involves calculation. And by the time it's already evening, so you're already exhausted. So
Okay.
there's nothing much.
All right.
This is in the beginning stages. This is
Okay.
the beginning stage.
Okay, we'll be talking about the later stages of the preparation also. Another question is like you used to follow this. Following this for a long period of time or like consistently is sometimes very difficult. There are ups and downs. Times family emergencies may happen. So आप उस चीज को कैसे like manage करते थे अगर कोई बीच में disruption हो जाता था तो?
So see, the benefit of your note making is that you'll have to just take a glance and everything will come to your mind. That is the one thing that I have an advantage, because I used to prepare notes. So even if I'm not studying or if I'm not solving questions, I used to go back and just revise the notes and understand the intricacies of the question, because your question in the sessions are not normal questions. One question will have a detailed layout of all the possibilities that a question can throw at you. So I should just revise it. If I'm not solving or if I'm not studying at all, I just revise these notes that I had prepared, and that's it.
All right. So the next question I want to ask you, Mohit, like whether you prepare alone or there were some other students also along with you with whom you prepared?
No, I did not prepare in isolation. There was one of your paid group which you conducted, like for those students who had already purchased the course. So I was part of that group, and also we formed a separate group for like few people, like 4 to 5 people, and we used to give our mocks consistently in that group.
Okay. So, like, was that separate group made like during the initial phase, or you did it like after you have done almost like 80% or 90% of the course?
After we had already completed like almost 80%, 90% of the content, only then we decided to shift to the mocks, and only then we decided to form a small group of about 3 to 4 people, and we used to give mocks together.
Okay.
They were the people from our same group, so the methods that they used were already taught by you. So we used to find out what are the loopholes and where are we lacking, because not everyone were like good in all the sections. So someone was good at something else. So we used to pick up together like what can be the scope of improvement.
All right. So these were some of the questions, like personal question that I wanted to ask. Now, apart from this, one very important question, like many students used to feel that whenever a particular form will come, then only we'll start. Or at times it may happen that like people used to wait for prelims result, then like only after prelims result we'll start from mains. So what is your suggestion with respect to that, like for those type of students?
Okay, so once you decide that you want to come into the banking field, you should know that IBPS releases its calendar and the dates will be out and exams will be conducted on that date. So irrespective of whether the notification comes out or not, the dates are already fixed for IBPS PO and the clerk, and all those respective exams are also IRB PO and IRB clerk. So you get to know that the exam season will begin from the monsoon session, like around August, right? And so if you begin, you just don't have to look at notifications. You simply begin preparation, because once the cycle of this exam begins, you won't get time for preparation. Every next week you'll have an exam, so you won't get any time for your preparation. You won't, so that's why I would say. And as far as mains question is concerned, I would not say that that just first do prelims then mains, because both of them are part of the same thing. You just have to do an extended portion if you're doing mains portion. So like right from the very beginning, you were teaching prelims as well as mains. Like you were giving quizzes in our Facebook group. Those were mains portions that we were doing right from the very beginning, like right from the day one. So that is why I did not differentiate between prelims and mains, because once you get to know what are the kind of questions that you get in mains and what are the scope of, where are the territories that you need to improve. So your improvement begins right from day one if you start solving mains questions.
All right. That was a great answer, and this will definitely open eyes of many students who generally used to wait like for mains examination to all the dates to come, and then they will start the preparation. Like if I'm an aspirant and I have to choose a particular teacher, then according to you, like from your 1 year of experience, what are the factors you feel that are necessary before selecting a particular teacher?
Okay, so I can definitely say about your case, because why I chose you.
Yeah.
Because when one of my seniors said that okay, purchase his course, he is the best. Then I went on your YouTube and I checked a lot of sessions. So your sessions had like the questions, the quality of questions were simply, they're an edge over others. And your way of explaining things, it's just like a monk explaining to a disciple, it's like very cool and calm way. You don't have to, there's no much of drama happening. You just stick to the topic, explain it to depth. And even if there are a lot of doubts, you try to explain them however silly they may look. Because to others, they may sound silly, but for some others, it might feel void for a lot of people. So that is why I said that, for bonds, you are the one. And I actually never looked for anyone else. As I already shared the notes, I did not look for anyone else. I just, because, the method that you have used, right, from all the chapters, like in case of average, we used to have, we had an deviation session.
Yeah.
I made notes of that also. And in time and work, a lot of tricks, can say, those are the outlier ones, which you get if you have, if someone has studied from you. So therefore, therefore I decided it. And if someone wants to pick a teacher, he should be in a position to understand what the teacher is trying to convey and his method of teaching. And the most important factor, there should be, the teacher should be in a position to solve doubts. Because in your case, I think this is the edge, and this is the one advantage that I have from others, is that you used to solve each and every doubt that we used to throw in the Facebook group. I don't know if any other platform has this advantage, but you used to do it, and this is just not for one student. There are a lot of other people in the group too. So you used to solve almost 100 plus questions every day, and that for a beginner, because he's studying, he'll have a lot of curiosity like a baby. He will ask a lot of doubts. So that doubt should be solved, and it should be solved immediately, so that he could follow up the next day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. That's the one thing that you had an edge over others.
All right. So this is with respect to our teacher. Now there are other things, like for example, subject-wise material. Like people, those who are doing self-study, if they have to select material for quant, like if you have, like you mentioned about practice mock, what things you thought that yes, this is the factor because of which I'm selecting practice mock for my practice.
Okay, so the reason behind the practice mock, because it provides, like, if you go into its sections, then it has got its free quizzes, and there are almost 70 to 80 free quizzes, and the quality of questions are at par with what is asked in the examination. And you get an overall analysis, because a lot of other competitors too who give practice mock maybe as a general reference to the mock. So I chose that. Plus, its solution is also nice. The way they solve questions sometimes it's elongated, but sometimes it's quite nice. And it's like the quality of question is the paramount that I went with practice mock. And it's respect to all the sections, not only quant but also reasoning as well as the English section. So therefore, I went with the practice mock. But there are other materials also. For mocks, I referred only 2 mocks, specifically guidely as well as the practice mock. That's it. These are my primary sources for the mock tests.
Okay. And what about GA content? Like which GA PDF or sources you followed?
Yes, so for GA, see, I already told you that I used to begin my day with the newspaper Business Standard. So for me, that was the one thing that I have not left even now. I'm not preparing exams right now, but even then I read Business Standard. It's part of my habit. So Business Standard will help you in preparing. You're giving a very deep insight because the kind of question that they're asking right now, you need a deeper insights into it. So Business Standard and Affairs Cloud weekly, because I used to not do the monthly PDF because it gets too exhaustive and it's too mammoth to handle. So I used to do the weekly Face Cloud GA that they have. They also have the quizzes for it. They also have the PDF of the weekly current events that has happened. So I used to follow it. So it's like four weekly PDFs a month, and that is it. So these are the only two sources that I followed.
So did you prepare notes for GA, or you just did using the PDFs?
I just highlighted under the PDFs and wrote if like a lot of changes that happens, in terms of positions and portfolios. So I used to write it and under the notes section. So it's like I highlighted and annotated the PDFs, but I did not make the offline PDFs for it. It was just online.
Okay. So I'll request to provide if you have one of the PDFs from your preparation days, so that the students who are watching, they can also understand and implement the same. So how did you prepare specifically for prelims?
So for prelims, when I began my mock, I used to not get that good a score. Then I realized which are the section that I need to do and which are the section that I need to maybe work on. So if you're a beginner, you need to work a bit on the miscellaneous sections, the number series, the quadratic equations, a bit of simplifications and all that. So because if you practice this consistently, there's nothing deeper into it. If you practice more, you reduce more time in it, and once you reduce more time on it, you give time to other questions as well. So that was the first thing that I did. That I used to do the miscellaneous section first, and only then I used to jump to the data interpretation. And as you said, you have already discussed how to look into the data part, because you used to see what are the things that you need to skip, what are the things that you need to note down, for the short references that really help in the data interpretation part. And then I used to jump to the arithmetic section, and that also very few specific chapters, like the chapters which I have practiced a lot and mastered, like the average section, the average chapter, the time and work. Then there used to be partnership quotient. Then there used to be friction, allegation, profit and loss. So these are the prime. When I used to look at mock, if the questions are from these sections, I used to go and attempt them. So, and that is how every day you learn new things, and that gets added up over a long period of time, and you revise it, and so that is how I did for bond section. For reasoning, it was different, because as I said, right from the day when I started solving puzzles, and I used to do a lot of silly mistakes. I used to write the wrong conditions at the early stages, but that did not deter me, because I knew once your practice comes and it becomes muscle memory, it builds into your reflex, you will not be making those silly errors. So I kept practicing those. And in mocks, I used to look at the question. If I have practiced those questions or those set of puzzles, only then I used to do and solve it. If there is a new type of it, I used to simply skip it, because I know it will take time and I may not be in a position to solve it. So therefore, I skip it altogether. So in reasoning also, first the miscellaneous section and the puzzles that I have practiced, I should do those, and that's it. The outlier effect for me was the English section, because I did not put in a lot of effort, because it came very naturally to me. So that was one section, I think, which gave an edge over others, because I used to always score anywhere around 98 to 99% time, without studying much in English. But in English also, I would say that if you can cover Achiever series of Nimisa ma'am, it's not like 120 rules. It's like the condensed form of 120 rules that generally come in banking examinations. So that will cover your error part. And after that, you simply do as much of reading you can, because if you can read fast, you'll be in a position to not only understand things in a much faster way, but you'll also give time to the questions and its options, because there are a lot of questions which you need the elimination method that works. So if you read fast, you'll be in a position to understand the passage very quickly, and then you will simply stick to the questions.
All right. So there are two specific questions which I want to ask with respect to mock test, like of prelims. There was one doubt which was asked, like in data interpretation, sometimes we have to prepare the whole table, or sometimes we don't have to prepare. Like what approach you used to follow for data interpretation of prelim sections?
Yeah. So for pie chart, you have already said, given the trick that you just have to find out the 1% and that's it. You don't have to calculate the data. So if someone has taken your course, he would be in a position to know what to calculate, when to calculate, what not to calculate. Because you don't have to necessarily, the different kind of data interpretation. So for some, you need to calculate, because if tacit BI is given, then you have to calculate everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes, okay, in case of pie chart, you don't have to. In some of the sections where if you can just take out the 1 unit.
Yeah, 1 unit, yeah.
You don't need to calculate. So then if someone has taken your course, he will get an idea where to calculate, when not to calculate. And that will save a lot of time, because then you will be in a position to solve questions with lesser data at hand. And it will be much quicker if you just go, because in prelims you just have 20 minutes. You cannot afford to take a lot of time. Therefore, I would say that if someone has taken your course, believe me, you don't have to worry about because you will learn it like which one to calculate, which one not to calculate.
All right. With respect to number series and quadratic equations, for the students, they used to do too many questions of quadratic equation number series like throughout the year. Do you think that that is the right strategy, or we have to just do limited number of questions and that will do?
No, so you have to do limited number of questions, and you have to keep in mind the kind of question that were asked previously, because they somehow follow the trend but not altogether. So once you know that there is a double difference, there is multiplying, that all the type of series that you have done, and only in the exam you would be in a position to decode whether I'm going in the right direction or I'm not going in the right direction. Once if you just make your mind that I have to solve 5 number series, you would get stuck and you would miss the entire one section. So if there are a few questions, like in my case, I have always faced is that if there are 5 to 6 number series, I'm in a position to solve only 3 and 4. So those two series has to be left, because if you are hell bent on solving those questions, it will take your time, and in those 2 minutes you would be in a position to solve other questions like bonds, the arithmetic questions. So simply solve as much as required, but don't over rely on it, because they only fetch 6 to 7 marks, not more than that.
All right. So with respect to quant, if I say that you used to first the numerical ability part, like number series, quadratic equation, simplification, then you move to DI, and then finally towards the end, like not all chapters of arithmetic, only certain chapters which you feel confident.
Yeah. Because I had practice. Sometimes what happens, if you have practiced a lot of good, if you have master was suppose average, but even sometimes the questions are so twisted, you would not be in a position to do it. But if you're, even if you have weaker sections like time, speed, distance, even they throw easier questions in it. So you do all the chapters. Only in the exam you decide which one to do and which one to leave, because it has to be very dynamic. As I said, banking is very dynamic. Your stronger portion might be, it becomes challenging in exam. Yeah. Your weaker portion becomes even doable in exam. So you have to dynamic. You prepare all the quants, all the arithmetic section, but only in exam you go and decide which one to do, which one is more doable.
All right. So with respect to quant, I'm delving much deeper in quants because that is one of the sections which is feared by most of the students. Like, did you leave any chapter of arithmetic, or you did all the chapters?
No, the only chapter I did not practice a lot is probability. I did it like I just covered the basics of it, like for prelims, if at all comes, but I did not prepare. Like, I was getting stuck in a lot of questions, and it was covered very at the end, and I had already entered inside the mock phase. So I did not much time to probability. Apart from that, I had already made notes of almost all the chapters. Yes.
All right.
So only probability was the one I did not make notes of. Like, I only covered the basic component of it, but I did not delve much deep into it. So that's the only chapter I left.
One question with respect to the level of difficulty of mocks that we see and actual examination. Can I say this, that the mocks of different companies that are there are little bit on the higher side, for example, for the prelims exam? What's your take on that?
It's slightly lesser than what is in the mock, because in mock sometimes what they do is they don't test your concept, they simply try to be exhaustive. But in exam they are simply checking your concept. They don't delve into a lot of exhaustive. Only in some questions, like in some of the DI questions, they want to simply extend the question because they want to delay it. That has to be left in some of the DI questions that we do. But apart from that, I would say that the mock questions, especially for the quants, like the arithmetic section that we get, and a lot of people get worried about it. Like, you're not you're not able to solve it in mock. That has not to be worried, because in exam they don't give such twisted questions. They simply take your basic concept. If you have solved the questions, at home, then you will be in a position to solve those questions even in the exam.
All right. Now moving to reasoning section, like for prelims reasoning, what are the sources that you followed? Tell me about that. And like per day, you said that you started doing puzzles from the very beginning. Like, how many puzzles you used to do? And apart from puzzles, were there certain miscellaneous questions also that you used to add?
Yeah, so when I began looking at the weightage of the puzzle, the reasoning section, puzzle has got a lot of weightage. Almost, it has got a lot of weightage. Almost 3 to 4 to 5 puzzles comes in exam. So there are different kind of puzzles that I analyzed. And then I went into one of the this YouTube channel called Virtuous. I'm not able to recall his name, what his name is, but his YouTube channel called Virtuous. So he's a reasoning teacher. So he had a very old playlist of all type of puzzles. All type of puzzles. So I first did basics from it, and after that I simply moved to the practice mock free quizzes. Because then I simply went rampant. I used to solve almost 10 to 12 puzzles, 15 puzzles, sometimes 20 even. So, because my primary motive was to generate that reflex, that muscle memory, that I don't make the silly mistakes. Because once you stop silly mistakes, you would be in a better position to solve all the puzzles. Because these silly mistakes are dangerous here and there, and you would not be able to get all the possibilities correct sometimes. So that's how I started, and this was very consistent because puzzles, irrespective of, you don't have to delve into a lot of concept. You can learn concept just within a day. But to master it, you need a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it requires practice. It requires a lot of practice. And as I said, reflex is the thing that you need to generate while solving puzzles. You would get a deeper insight by just looking at, okay, this is the possibility that I don't have to go. But only if you have practiced so much, only then you would be in a position to cancel it out just by looking at it. So that was the thing, and I extensively use the practice mock 3 quizzes. This is available for everyone. Even if you don't take their
paid ones.
So almost like they have got approximately 70 to 83 quizzes, and also mains quizzes. So every quiz used to have 2 puzzles, and it's something that if you take PDF, then you don't have the time. You can need as much of time, but in quizzes you'll have to have this time constraint. So I used to solve under those 10 minutes itself. 10 minutes and 2 puzzles. So that's how I went, and I almost 3 to 4 months before it was like huge practice. I would say I solved really good number of puzzles.
That is reflected in your results itself. So another question was with respect to like prelims mock, how you used to what was the order that you used to follow?
So like it got separated exam wise, because in RBPO or RB Club, I simply went puzzles.
Okay.
Because you don't have a lot of time to then come back and select those questions. But in case of IBPS or SBI PO, I used to first do the
miscellaneous section.
And only then, because while sifting in the questions, you would be in a position to identify if I have to do this puzzle or not. Then I used to select this puzzle, because out of 5 puzzles, I used to do 3 puzzles and rest miscellaneous. So you'll be comfortably getting around 25 around that, and that's a good decent thing. But you have to solve it correctly, and that's it. So I used to solve around 3 to 4 puzzles in exam and rest miscellaneous. The first I have to do miscellaneous, and only then I have to set 2 puzzles.
All right. So what was your score range in reasoning prelims, like in mock test of these companies that you used to give, like for example practice mock you said?
Okay, so I would say with respect to reasoning, I would say Guidely is the best.
All right.
Because not only the question is very relevant, but it almost sometimes it matches. It feels like you've already solved it before. And the kind of language that they write, the way of narration of the puzzles that they do, it's almost like exam-like. But in case of practice mock, it's like very adventurous. So in practice mock, I used to score very less. But in case of Guidely, whatever I used to score the same marks in exam also. So for reasoning, I would say I think Guidely has tuned it perfectly.
All right. So what was your score range, like in mocks and in actual exam?
So I used to get anywhere around 25, 27.
All right. In exam also and in mocks also?
Yes, in Guidely mocks I used to get 25, 27. And in exam also I got around the same range. But in case of practice mock, I used to score little less, like 19 to 20, because the puzzles are like, you have to deal with a lot of possibilities that are adventurous. The practice mock reasoning section, yes.
At times, this thing happens with many students, like they are not able to figure out, like, is it the speed or the conceptual clarity that I'm lacking? And this is also one of the questions that is posed by some student in the comment section. Like, what's your take on that?
So my take is like, it's very simple. You will only be able to generate speed if you have practiced a lot. Okay, so for quants you can generate a lot of speed if you can figure out which are the steps that you have to write, because there are a lot of steps that we can simply eliminate and we can simply conclude it answers. For case of as I said, speed maths, you only practice will help, because it's a very easy thing. It's like very class 10 basic thing, but only practice will let you increase the speed. But in some cases, what happens in case of BI, then there are a lot of complicated questions. Speed is not the issue. It's the concept. If you are able to grab what the question is being asked, or if you are able to understand the gist of the question. So in those cases, it's the concept. And especially in case of SBI PO and IBPS PO prelims exams, they test more of concept than speed. But in case of RB clerk and RB PO exams, they test more of speed. So in case of RB clerk and RB PO, you'd be in a position to solve a good amount of questions. But in case of IBPS PO and SBI PO, you need to have a little bit of conceptual clarity. The speed is not an issue, because if you solve questions correctly, you'd be able to clear the cutoff, because like if the cutoff is 62, not many students get about 70. So it's like not huge margin, but in case of RD, like you have to almost solve all the questions.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
All right. So coming to the analysis portion of the prelims mock, I'll be delving deeper into mains also. You have to answer a lot of questions there also. So
Yes,
I hope you
yes.
are ready. With respect to the analysis part, sometime it may happen that we are able to do all the questions like during the analysis, but while looking at the question during the mock, we get confused or we did silly mistakes. So how did you do away with this problem?
Yes, this also happened with me because in mocks I used to not be able to. I was not able to solve a lot of questions. But then when I used to go back and do analysis, I was able to solve the question. The primary reason is that see, if you have got a lot of time, you would be certainly be able to solve question. However hard it is, even if it's a mains question, if you give ample amount of time, you will be able to solve it. So once you solve it, you know that you don't have the conceptual issue. You have this issue of the speed because in prelims you got only 20 minutes to allot. Okay, and so if you are saving time somewhere else, that saved time comes handy, while solving this question. So you have to focus on only two key components. Try to solve miscellaneous portion as fast as possible, so that at the same time you can utilize on the other section. And if you are able to solve the questions even at the latest stages in the analysis part, then be sure you don't have to worry because you know for sure that you are not lacking in the conceptual clarity. You are only lacking in speed. That will come. That will come with the practice. So you simply cannot, right from the day one, you cannot say that I need to go into 90 percentile. As I said, I had already shared a lot of mock marks with you. Maybe after 2 to 3 months, I used to go like 70, 80, 90. It was very gradual change.
It was gradual change, yeah.
Yes, I did not expect it right from day one because I know that it cannot be that easy. So you have to be patient a little bit and understand that once you have studied the concept, worked on it, it will come. Just wait for it. That's the thing.
Okay, so basically you are trying to say that all the loopholes that are there, we should try to work on that, and the accuracy part and the speed, it will automatically come.
It will automatically come because just one day, after a month, you will realize that you are feeling better while solving questions, and it's like a very gradual change. Once you reach this very certain saturation point, there's not much of an improvement that you can bring. Once you reach the 90 percentile, it's very hard to go to 98 percentile or 95 percentile because there are only small changes that you can make. So even if you are scoring, I would say that even if you are scoring 70 to 80 percentile, that's a very good percentile. Don't be confused about this 90 percentile, 99 percentile because if I share my mocks, you'll be able to clearly bifurcate that in a lot of mocks I have got 60 percentile, in a lot of mocks I have got 70 percentile, in a lot of mocks I have got 90 percentile. So that should not deter you. Mock is only for practice. It's for generating how you want to attempt question in the exam. So these are the things that you should look at, like how you're attempting question in mocks. So these are the things that you should also do in the exams. So these are the key learning points that you should do while you're giving mock. It's not like you're giving mock and you're clearing examination. The exam is very different than mock.
All right, that's a great answer. One more thing, what was the initial point where you started giving mocks?
Yes, so I began from March onwards, I think.
March onward you started. So did you go for full test or section wise test? Full test.
No, full test. I went for full test because see, I had already, as I said, I had been giving the puzzle, the quizzes of the practice mode. So I had already solved a lot of sectionals and a lot of quizzes into it already. So I simply, once I went into the building section after March, I should say I solved 2 mocks per day, and then is to analyze it. And after that, also you had a lot of other sessions like main sessions. Your main session began after March, I think. So again, I used to make notes, revise them back. So that also used to take time. Also the mock analysis and all this reading newspaper and English and all this. So all of this used to take time. And once you begin preparation, I don't think you need to keep watch on time because once you delve into the studies part, time will fly and you won't even realize that it's night. It's the morning, it's the night. You won't really make. So I would say don't get fixated. You have to do 6 hours or 7 hours. If you want to do it, you will do it. Yes.
You said that you had friends from the groups, but that were online friends, right? Preparing in isolation, there are at times situations where we feel demotivated, like with respect to, for example, by looking at my mock marks, I'm not doing well enough. Then it may demotivate you, like I will not prepare. So how did you did you feel these type of situation and how you dealt with that?
Yeah, so I would say that I think the junior most in our group, and I used to score lowest among our group. So I used to never get demotivated. The factor is that you are in a learning stage. Your exam is maybe 3 to 4 months, far, you still have 3 to 4 months of time. So there is no point of demotivation. You are getting marks, the kind of work that you have done, that is reflected in the marks. So there is nothing to worry. There is scope of improvement. There is no point of getting demotivated. And the second point is, I never made comparison with anyone. Because once you start making comparison, you are discounting the factor that how other person has prepared it. It is whether it is his second or third attempt, has he already completed a lot of his basics? Because I was a beginner, I had just completed the basics, only then I jumped into mock. So I never really compared about my percentile. I simply went on giving my percentile and tried to limit the silly mistakes, because in the earlier stages I used to do a lot of silly mistakes. So I started some of if I have one of my copies, it's not now. Like I used to note down all my silly mistakes itself. Like note down what are the silly mistakes I'm making, because I should really look at. So then I started avoiding silly mistakes, and only gradually I improved. So among all of like the 4 to 5 members that we had, I used to score the lowest in mocks. Okay, so I never got disappointed. I used to only look at how they are solving, where are they getting an edge over me, and I only learned from them. There was no point of comparison. I never really compared, because once we start comparing, we put an extra pressure on ourselves. We don't have to do that.
All right. With respect to prelims examination, now that we are done with the mock analysis and everything, I'm not asking about English, because you said that English was something that was already better for you, right? You didn't prepare much for that, so that may not help students. Now coming to the prelims, like actual examination. On the examination day, how was your feeling and how did you handle the pressure? Like in exam, the pressure is very different. You have lots of many students like along with you. They will share stories like, I have been given exam from this many years. So how do you handle that?
Yeah, so specifically to the second point, there are a lot of about the exam atmosphere that one has. So it was because of this I chose Guwahati Center. Because Northeast is like, it's very different than what we have. Because in our center, if you come to Bihar and Jharkhand, a lot of people will boast about themselves and will create an extra pressure. But in case of when I went in Guwahati Center, it will be crowded, but you would feel peaceful. So I don't have any pressure. When I went in exam, it was very casual. Like if you're sitting at home and giving exam. And even if you go to the other center, the fact is you have already practiced so much, you have given so many mocks, you cannot do anything extraordinary on that day. So just give the performance that you have been doing in mocks, and that's it. You don't have to worry, because see, in exams what happens is the things that you have practiced, your reflex will help you, because you have got only 20 minutes to handle, and only your practice will make you feel better, because your muscle memory, your reflex, the kind of question that you've handled in the kind of question selection that you've done in mocks. So there is no pressure at all. I never really felt that I was going to exam, So that was it. Like I should simply get it, like have a good bath, and then I should go and give exam. So that was it. I never really got this pressure that And the first thing is that you should never really compare or try to limit yourself that I'll be doing these many questions or that many questions, because every shift is different. And as I said, bank exam is dynamic. So, you will have a different kind of approach that you will take. You go and make decision right on that day. So you look at the question, the kind of question that is doable and that you should skip. So every shift is different, and every shift will have different set of difficulty level in all the sections. So you have to keep that in mind and go with a free mind and give the exam. That is what I have done, not only in prelims but also in mains. I did not go with any preconceived notion that I have to do this many questions or that many questions. I simply went and I did what I could do.
All right. That's a great answer, and I hope all the aspirants who are looking, they are getting great insights from your answers, and because these are actual questions which they don't have any answers to, and they waste a lot of time wondering about the answer of these questions. Now coming to the mains preparation, like for example, mains is entirely different. Like the level of questions are very different. So how did you segregate it? Now is the time that I will start my mains preparation. Now my knowledge is at this level that I can do mains questions also. Like what was that particular time?
Okay, so as I said, for quants, as I said that if someone has taken your course right from day one, you start giving even mains question right from day one. Once you have taught like percentage concept or ratio and profit or this profit and loss or mixture. So you start giving the mains question itself to test whether you have gone deeper inside your concept or whether there is a conceptual clarity. So even before March, I had already saw a lot of your quizzes that you used to set on Facebook group. That was the first part. Now coming to the practice that I had done, I used to give mains mock only on weekends like Saturday and Sunday. That was reserved only for mains mock. So I used to like all the chapters that I had done, and one of the key components that you taught while handling the mains mock question is selection of question. You have to write the difficulty level like 1, 2, and 3, like which one is more doable, which one is, and then only then you go and do it. Because once you have segregated the question, it means it's not about you have to do all the questions. Even if you do 50% of the question correctly, you are in. So that is the one thing that one has to realize, that you don't have to go hungry that you have to do all the questions. select your questions, take time, and solve it correctly. That is what I had learned, because you told in one of the sessions that market difficulty level wise on their paper. Like this is level 1, level 2, level 3, and mark those questions, and then do your questions accordingly. So that is the thing that I help. And as far as the concept is concerned, once you start looking and solving these mains questions, one thing that you realize is that you need to have a greater insight of what are the steps that are going to come. What are the scenarios that this question is going to create, maybe 4 to 5 steps after. That's the one thing I would say that I have still not learned 100% from you, because you are master of it. You simply, the way you look at it, because you know that this problem will create a little bit of complexity, and so you take a short route and try to eliminate a lot of variables. That's one thing that I started implementing, because you had a lot of sessions in which you conducted how to look at mains questions. So that's the one thing. If you're solving mains question, anyone can solve it. If you give 1 hour, 2 hours, you'll be able to solve it. But in the exam, you've got limited amount of time. So you have to, take the shortcuts and a smart approach.
Smart approach, yeah.
Yes, you simply cannot, just keep on solving question. Nothing is coming, no outcome is coming. So you need to be, smart about it. That if I'm solving this, what are the things that I can get, and if I'm getting this, how can it be, how it can be helpful for other questions. So these are the things that you need to look right from day one, because that's the one thing that helped. I never segregated between prelims and mains. So I started getting a lot of good questions, and then I realized that okay, these are the also corners that I need to look at. These are the concepts that I need to look more into, and how to use, because a lot of mathematical applications that you will have to use. Even in the quadratic equations, you have taught us the use of differentials and how you can apply that. So there are a lot of concepts that you will learn. If you have purchased a course, then you don't have to worry, because there will be a lot of depth in the mains questions also. And for those students who have just begun, I would say don't miss the pages that Sir gives or the mains question. Start doing it, because only in these stages, because once the prelims is over, mains is just 15 to 20 days ahead. You cannot prepare 15 to 20 days of mains question. It's simply not possible. You need to give a lot of time to mains question. So try to complete it before the exam season begins. It begins from August. So try to complete it before August itself.
All right. So you answered about quant. Like for example, in reasoning and English section, I also will be asking about English, because since your English is good, there will be certain student whose English is great, but they also want some insights with respect to English. Now, tell me about reasoning section. Like in mains, what was your strategy? Like how you are going to attempt reasoning section?
Okay, so my as I said that I had solved a lot of questions for these puzzles for prelim, but for mains I was little different. I used to hang around the critical reasoning, because I realized that nowadays bank exam have increased the weight of critical reasoning. Mains they almost ask 12, 13 questions, and I have seen a lot of candidates skipping it. But you had taught us how to handle critical reasoning. I'd also made notes of it. I'll send it if I get it. I'll also send the notes of critical reasoning, because you had taught us how to go about it, how to eliminate options, how to look at the keywords in the options. So my primary focus, was the miscellaneous, which includes input output, the binary coding decoding, what else, the reverse syllogism, the reverse direction. They're giving different kind of directions from one junction to another. There is a point that they connect. So those kind of questions, and the direction based puzzle that has the direction based puzzle. I should solve direction based puzzle in the mains. So my primary focus was critical reasoning, miscellaneous, and the data sufficiency, because it comes under the miscellaneous section itself, the data sufficiency portion. Because if you have solved a lot of prelims puzzles, you will be able to solve data sufficiency. So data sufficiency, this input output is all miscellaneous sections, critical reasoning, and direction based puzzles. So this was for
like reasoning section.
SBI PO, yes. Okay. For RRB PO, I would say that there are only 4 kind of questions that they generally ask, 4 types. From classification puzzle, free variable puzzle, this setting arrangement plus blood relation. So they move and hover around this kind of question. So practice these kind of questions, and you will be able to solve it in exam also, because in RRB they don't change much of the level. It remains more or less same throughout the year. So yes.
All right. So like in mains mock, like for example, you take the mock of Guidely. Yes, how much you were scoring in Guidely mock, and how much you scored, like you generally scored in mains of actual exam? What is the difference?
So I scored much more in exam than in mock, because in mock it's for practice, and they do have, because the pattern that, suppose if it's the input output, the pattern that they give in exam, the pattern that we get in mock, it's like there's no explanation to it, because in mocks they simply put a very irrelevant logic, and sometimes the candidate gets motivated that I'm not able to solve it. But in exam they'll have only a certain limited number of logic, and if you have practiced it properly, then you will be able to decode it in exam. So exam, I would say the miscellaneous portion, even the critical reasoning, they somehow give sometimes they give very vague answers. But in exam, I felt like it was very they only tested your conceptual clarity. They did not try to complicate critical reasoning. So that was
at times, for example, in XYZ company mock, you will see very lengthy questions and very random questions, and the logic that they provide in answer is also very irrelevant to that particular question. So that actually don't happen in exam. That is what you're saying.
See, because I can definitely say for the SBI PO that I attempted, I attempted 13 critical reasoning.
All right.
Okay, so I know that helped me. So because this I realized right from the very beginning when I started giving examination, because this was my first serious attempt. So because critical reasoning is something, if you can understand and comprehend, and if you can find keywords, it's a very easy thing. But if you're not able to find keyword, then it might look very puzzling to you. But I would say that banking exams now they have simply increased the level of weightage of critical reasoning. So you should simply not skip it. It's doable, and it's you can have an edge over others if you are doing critical reasoning. So follow Sir, he will provide you the keywords that you can follow, elimination options, a lot of methods that Sir will teach, and you can simply follow it for that.
Okay, there is one notion among students that critical reasoning is something that we can do with respect to feeling. That is something that I don't like. So what is your take on that? Do you think that with respect to feeling we can solve any type of critical reasoning, or it is there is also some concept in critical reasoning that we have to learn?
Yes, like in case of assumptions and inference and conclusions, there's a certain level of there's a certain level of conceptual hint that the question gives. You have to go with that. If you apply your general mind, all of your questions will simply go wrong, and you get demotivated with that. You don't have to do it. There are certain kind of keywords, there are certain kind of statement narrative that you have to catch, right? And also the options, the kind of options that again, and some of them are very irrelevant options. Some can be eliminated just by looking at it. Some are out of scope options. Some are very close. So you have to identify. You simply cannot go with the feeling, because that is why it's called critical reasoning. You simply cannot go with the feelings. Otherwise, everything will go disarray. Yes.
Coming to the English portion, like in mains English portion, how did you approach it? Like, what was your approach with respect to the question selection and in general strategy for English? Please try to answer this in a short.
So I would merge the prelims as well as the mains for a lot of candidates. So prelims, I said I did the Achiever series. I did not do 122. I just did the Achiever series, because that will cover the it's a, I think 5 to 6 hour long video level on. So it's a very old one, but it's very helpful. All kind of error kind of questions, or the kind of questions that banking generally gives in case of error or grammatical questions, that is covered there. So I had also made notes of it, but I'm not getting it right now. But if I get it, I'll share it with you.
All right.
So I had made like very crisp note of about 2 to 3 pages, and I could do that. That's it. For prelims, it's done. For mains, you have to rely on the RC part, and for RC, you need to have a good reading speed. So because what happens in mains also, you have got a lot of questions to cover, right? If you have good reading speed, because reading speed, like you just have to get the gist of the passage, and then jump the question, and then look at the options and what are the options. So I would say work on 3 components. The first is your reading speed. You need to read really fast. It does not mean that read fast and don't understand it. Don't understand it. Read it and try to understand it, comprehend it. That's the only one thing that you need to work on. Because mains, I would say, it's focus more on reading than grammatical questions. I would say hardly 2 to 3 or maybe max 4 to 5 questions came in from grammatical sections. The rest was your close pace, which is again reading. Your RC again reading. So match the following also, it's again reading. So it's all reading based. So the more you read, more you'll have grasp over the concepts, and more you'll get confidence. Because see, even in the practice mock, where their English is quite hard, I used to score really good, because my primary focus was to read fast, save time, and invest it on other questions. But if you start reading even the long passages, and if you don't finish it within time period, you will not be in a position to solve other questions. So I would say, I would say that business center also helped me, because I used to read newspaper daily. So that also, so I never really felt like I'm reading something out of the box kind of thing. Any places that because I remember in case of SBI, there was I think some economic based question. There was this Argentinian president which got elected, and he was against this monetary policy and central bank itself. So I had already read that passage, but not in that format, but I already knew the content. So if you're reading newspaper, you're not only you're GA participant, but you're also RC participant, because sometimes they give RC from the current events that's happening.
All right. So, what are some of the sources of reading that you followed? Like students can use, like specifically for beginners. Like if they had no experience of reading and they generally look at reading with respect to vocabulary. Like if I don't know the vocabulary, I won't be able to proceed. So, what is your?
So vocabulary is not the issue. You need to catch the gist of the passage, because sometimes there are a lot of vocabulary that I also don't know. But you need to take into the thematic thing, the kind of thing that the author is talking about. And for beginner, again, I would say, again, practice now. Because again, they have got these free pages, again, they have got these free pages of English also. So you can cover there from there also. You used to also provide this A1 essays, right?
Yeah.
I think you started providing it. So, and also now I'm seeing that you are providing some daily
perspective, yeah.
Yes, the perspective. So I think if someone is following that and if he's reading newspaper and if he's solving these three pages of the practice now, I don't think he needs to go anywhere else in case of English.
All right. Now coming to the analysis part of mains, students are very much confused about the analysis because since the questions are lengthy, plus the number of questions that at times we find in mocks, they are too lengthy. Like we have either not seen that type of questions, and sometimes that is something that demotivates student. Like I will take around 5 to 6 hours to analyze. How will I analyze it correctly? That is one question that student face. So what is your take? How did you analyze mocks?
Yeah, so when I began my mains mock, it was on weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So I used to give it on Saturday, and then I used to analyze it on Sunday. So my analysis part was, as I said, you had mentioned that there's one level, level 2, level 3. So I used to mark those questions, and then I used to see, okay, I had marked this question. First, I used to see that, okay, what are the marked questions that I had marked that I would solve this, but I have not solved it, because I had marked it for a reason that I would be in a position to solve it. So what are the reasons that I was not able to solve it? So I used to first go and find it, that what are the key components that was used in this question, but I was not able to figure it out. Then after solving it, then I used to go on the question that I simply missed, or it was in level 3 or level 4. Then I used to go and see, okay, what are the concepts that they are trying to teach? What are the things that I can learn from it? And then I used to post it on the Facebook group, your Facebook doubt session. And then what used to happen, a lot of candidates that used to solve it, only after, if the candidates are not able to solve, then you used to provide the detailed solution and outline of it, because you used to also encourage that other people participate in doubt solving the program.
Yeah, it's a collective learning process, so everyone.
Yes. So then, and from that I was able to figure it out again, and I used to mark it, because I had given, it was only on weekends, right? The only 4 weekends, almost like 4 to 5 mains mock that I used to give, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I used to remember, okay, that these are the questions that I had solved. I used to go and refigure it out, like, because this to always rough paper. I never threw the rough paper. I simply marked, okay, this is from this mock, okay, and this is the way I saw this is. So I simply kept all those rough paper also, and I used to revise it back. Like, all right. Because see, in rough papers you'll be able to mark it out where you made a mistake. So that's how I revised. And when exams came, I simply revised the notes that I prepared. I did not revise the mock questions. I simply went and revised the notes that I had made. Like I also made the mains notes. So I simply used to revise that, because in the mains, just before mains, I used to focus more on GA than anything else, because I already know that I have already done with regards to quants and reasoning. There's not much can be added into 1 or 2 days. So I used to focus more on GA, and that's it. I used to go and give exam.
All right, that is a very great answer, like actually how we have to do mock analysis. Now, are there any certain questions that you used to skip entirely also, like you will not do analysis of those questions, where there will any example of that?
So see, in case of mathematics, there will be like quadratic equation. You'll have to go and keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
However hard it is, because if you know the concepts, you'll be able to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there used to be data sufficiency questions. Then there used to be like number series fillers kind of questions. And only then I used to go and do the data interpretation, because in many data interpretation, like they used to give some time, because it varies from exam to exam.
Mm-hmm.
In RBQ, you would get cassette, which is doable. And also the in RBQ mains, you will get the question that is more or less it's doable. You only need to allot time. In case of IBPS Q, I used to see, okay, which are the DIs which you have taught in your course, only those DIs are done. Okay, because I used to simply focus on those DIs. If it comes in exam, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll simply move out, because as I said, it means you have to make sure that your other section are good. Like in case it was reasoning, it was English and GA was the key force why I got into the exam also. So then I realized that okay, if I can give importance to English and what is it, GA, I can cut a bit of corners in mathematics and reasoning. But even in reasoning, I would say I did the miscellaneous and critical reasoning, so I did not cut a lot of corners. But in case of mathematics, I did only what you taught in mains, like in your main session, and I used to do only those questions. So that's it. I did not do anything extraordinary.
Okay. I used to suggest one thing in course, that you will find certain questions in mains, both in quant, reasoning and English, that are not to be done, like either during the analysis phase and also in exams.
No, see, as far as like your course is concerned, I did all the questions. I used to remember there was one this question which has to be solved from backward I did it because I thought it is easy, but if one is able to catch logic, he'll be able to solve it. Okay, so whatever you taught in your main session, I never really skipped anything. I simply did it because I know if it comes, because what has been taught to me, I should at least practice it and I should solve it. Whether it comes in exam or not, it's a different thing. But I should know what has been taught to me. Yes.
Okay. Actually, my question is slightly different. Like I am asking, like for example, if there are five DIs, 3 DIs are doable. One is moderate level and one is like alien type DI. You won't be able to solve it in exam, and even if you solve, like do the analysis, it will take a lot of time. So whether you used to skip that entirely?
So in mock I used to do that. Like if it's like completely beyond my mind, or I think it's like even if I solve it, it's not exam level because it's taking too much time, and it might not be helpful at all from exam perspective, because a lot of even in the mains, what do you say, the mock series, they somehow provide very elongated kind of thing, somehow provide very exhaustive, which might not be relevant from exam point of view. So I used to skip those. But if you have taught something and if it comes in the mains mock, then I used to solve those. But if it's really hard and if it's like very weird kind of questions, I used to simply skip, because even if you solve it in during mock, you would not be able to solve it in exam.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So these were the different questions and like guidance that I wanted from you, so that students who are watching this video, they can get great insight from this. And you have done a great work providing all the different answers to different questions that I have thrown at you. Now, last question with respect to course. This year also many students have joined course. Like you mentioned that you started making notes. Like how you used to revise those notes, like how you like approach this particular course.
Yes, so see, in your sessions, there was like, if there's one question, it will be a very good question. It will not be a normal question. So you go into the deeper insights in it. And if I have said the CISI notes in it, I have written the deeper insights also. These are the fundamental choke points that this question can create. So I have written even those points, because I know that while solving questions, you will face those choke points. And so I had almost written all the good questions, like not all the questions I had written, but all the good questions that I felt that they are worth mentioning it in notes. I have mentioned it, and I have written the stake points of it. Like these are the fundamental stake points that I need to go about it. And once you revise it daily, it goes into your memory. That if you see such kind of questions, or even questions roaming anywhere around it, you would simply know, okay, this is the way to go about it, and you'll be very sure that you'll be able to solve those questions. So I made my notes very enthusiastically. It was like very thorough. If you have seen it, it's like very careful of it. Because it's a one-time investment. Once you have made it, you don't need to go back into video and looking, and playing at 2x and 3x. You just have to go, and it's like one glance. One glance and revision is done. So that's why I would say, for the students who have taken your course, do make notes, because notes is very personal. I can give my notes, but I have written in my own style. So if you can take a reference of it and if you can make your own notes, that would be a much better thing.
Like how many times you have revised those notes? Like for example, if I consider the SICI note that you will be sharing, how many times you think that you have gone through that notes?
I would say more than 10 to 12 times. Maybe I don't know, even more than that. Because every day when I used to initial phases, like I should simply go and check all those questions. So it's like I almost know which corner, which question is there. It's like I've revised so many times.
Yeah, exactly. This is something that I also used to do. Like during in my examination, when I used to write this question and this answer is written at this particular place in my notes. So is that something that you are trying to refer?
Yes, that is what I'm trying to refer, because it will create a mind map inside your brain. That's one thing. Because once you revise notes, you will be able to figure it out, like this kind of question is in that page, or it's in that corner. So that is why because it's just a glance. You just need to look at it and revision is done.
अब जब आपने स्टार्ट किया था प्रिपरेशन एंड नाउ दैट यू हैव क्लियर दिस, what changes that you feel that you have experienced in this entire 1 year journey कि स्टार्टिंग में मेरे को ये सारी चीज़ें को नॉलेज नहीं थी बट नाउ अब मुझे लगता है कि ये सारी चीज़ें करनी चाहिए, अगर आप इसको शॉर्ट में बता सकें.
Okay, so I would say this one advantage, because when I began, I was actually looking for RBPO. I never looked for IBPS or it was of course in the mind map, that I'll go and give exam, but my primary focus was RBPO. But the thing is, I never really thought that I would be in a position to clear it, because I knew the only difficult part for me in case of SBI prelim, was its prelims. And I would say my biggest achievement was prelim, because once you clear the prelims, you've got a huge weightage of about 150 marks just coming from GA and English. So that was the thing I never really worried, because I knew this will put me an edge over others. One of the things I would say, when I took a course, I took it because I'm a very cool and calm person. I love people who, explain it in a very cool and calm way. So when I started learning from you, I had a very cool way of looking into the question. Like, even if it's a very complicated question, I would say, okay, this is the way to solve about it. I never really got worried or, like, I never faced any fear of not going into, because that's something that your teaching style has. If someone is able to grab it, it's like cool and calm way of proposing even the difficult questions. Like, somehow there will be some trick left, somehow there will be some hint that will be given. And if you are very cool and calm, and if you think in a very composed way, you will be able to figure it out. So that actually extended, like that really expanded. Like, in the beginning I had to think even more smartly than I began. So I would say that's the one thing that I really took it from you, like your way of looking into question and solving it. The second point is about giving all the exams. This one thing about banking is I still remember there was one question, I think it got repeated in SBI your exam prelims, which was already asked in RRB clerk mails. It was very related kind of question that got. So if you don't look that okay, it's a clerk exam or it's a PO exam, try to give all the exams, because you will simply get the gist of changes that the exam pattern is making, because it changes very frequently. What you are looking, the level of question that we faced, it will not be the same for the upcoming aspirants. It will be very different. So once you begin with RB clerk, RB PO, you will be knowing that okay, these are the kind of questions that they're framing this year, and this is now I need to change a bit of, if at all my strategy, I need to change a bit of it. So that's the one thing. Simply don't think that okay, you just need to clear IBPS or SBI, so I'll not apply for all these exams. Apply it, because it will teach you the kind of the rhythmic changes that the banking pattern makes. So that's the one thing that I would like to say. The third is about developing a little bit of patience. See, good things comes to those who wait. So even if you're not getting good percentile, so if I say my percentile, a lot of people anyway get demotivated that you cross this barrier. I knew that it's like 40% today, 50% tomorrow. It will be 90% someday. So you have to just wait for it. Keep on practicing, because this is the only thing that you can do. You can worry about your 90 percentile that I'm not getting it, and it will change nothing. But if you practice it in that particular phase of time, and if you are with as I said, I never prepare, like I had no offline, like I had friends in offline, but they're not preparing for banking exams. So my sole authority was the doubt group and you. So all the doubts that I had, I used to simply say, give it. First I used to solve it myself, and if I'm not in a position to solve it, I used to simply share it in the group. That's the one thing that the aspirants or those aspirants, because there was also this free group which has got a lot of people, they used to also solve it, and there's also this paid group where you get a special attention. So that's the one thing that you should really use it, because during course of preparation, if you want a very guided phase, if someone is really solving your doubt, because your method of solving is very different than our method of solving, and your method is quite smart and it's quite efficient. So that's the one thing that you need to learn, that why I was not able to solve it, why sir has solved it, and what is the sir, like what's the sir way of thinking, and why I am not able to think even after learning it. This is the thing that you need to carry. And once you begin this preparation, don't really carry a baggage that I'll clear it in this attempt or that attempt. In any attempt is good, you just keep on doing it, because in exam you don't know what would happen, So that's the one thing that be dynamic, That's why I mentioned in the very beginning itself. Unlike SSC, it's like very steady kind of thing. But bank evolves, the question evolves, their pattern evolves, So you have to be dynamic. You also have to evolve. You simply cannot be static.
All right. With this particular question, I will end the session. Thank you so much, Mohit, for giving so much of your time and answering all the questions in detail. I hope all the aspirants who are watching, this was worth a watch. I will request everyone who is watching to congratulate Mohit, and also I'll be sharing his notes. Thank you so much.